arrived just before dusk. The fog was so thick I couldn't see more than a few steps ahead, swallowing the road behind me as if I'd never traveled it. My car had died a mile back, the engine choking on smoke before giving up altogether. With no reception on my phone, I followed the cracked asphalt into town on foot, hoping to find a payphone, or at least someone who could point me toward help. The first thing I noticed was the silence. No wind, no crickets, no dogs barking in the distance. Just the faint scuff of my shoes against the pavement. The buildings loomed out of the fog one by one. Shopfronts, a gas station, a row of houses. Their windows stared back at me like dark, hollow eyes. That's when I saw the mannequins. They stood behind the glass of a clothing store, dressed in faded jackets and tattered dresses. At first, they looked normal until I leaned closer. Every single face had been scratched smooth. Eyes, nose, mouth, all scraped away, as if someone couldn't bear the thought of them looking back. I felt a shiver crawl up my neck. Deeper into town, I passed a row of clocks nailed to a pawnshop wall. Every single one was frozen at the exact same time, 2:47. The second hands jittered against their gears, ticking endlessly but never moving forward. The more I looked, the more I realized every clock I saw in town was the same. I told myself it was just some bizarre coincidence, a prank, maybe even an art installation. But the deeper I went, the less convincing those excuses became. The fog pressed closer, damp and heavy. I could barely see across the street. And then, movement. A shadow passed between the houses, tall and jerking, limbs bending in ways that didn't look right. I spun toward it, but by the time I reached the alley, there was nothing waiting for me, only silence. I tried calling out. My voice cracked in the air, swallowed almost immediately. No echo, no answer. I hurried toward what looked like a diner. Its neon sign flickered faintly, open, but inside the booths were covered in dust. Plates of food still sat on the counters, rotten and collapsing into black sludge. Coffee cups with lipstick stains, half-written checks. Someone had left in the middle of their lives, as if time itself had been severed. That's when I heard it. A scrape. Long, metallic, dragging along pavement. It came from outside, slow, deliberate. My chest locked tight. I crouched down, peering out the diner's front window. The fog shifted just enough to reveal a figure at the far end of the street. It was standing perfectly still. It had no face. Not like the mannequins, scratched smooth. This was worse. Where a face should have been, there was only raw skin, stretched taut, like wax melted and smeared over bone. Its head tilted slowly, unnaturally, until I felt its attention lock on me. And then it began walking, not rushing, not running, just walking. Each step was deliberate, the scrape echoing as something metal dragged from its hand. I stumbled back from the window, tripping over a chair. The clatter rang like a gunshot in the silence. I froze, heart pounding so hard it hurt. The footsteps outside stopped. The silence was worse than the sound. I forced myself toward the back of the diner, into the kitchen. Knives still lay on the counters, rusted and stained. The back door was padlocked shut from the outside, chains rattling when I pushed. Panic swelled in my chest. And then, behind me, the static hum of an old radio. It sat on a shelf, covered in dust, power cord dangling loose. But still, it was on. The static grew louder, harsher, until a voice pushed through, faint, warped, but unmistakably human. It whispered my name. I backed away, hands shaken. My reflection in the chrome freezer door warped in the dim light, stretched, grinning, eyes hollow. And for one terrible second, it moved when I didn't. That's when the dragging footsteps started again, just outside the door. Closer, closer. The voice on the radio shifted, now frantic, repeating the same phrase over and over, distorted into something almost inhuman. Don't look back. Don't look back. Don't look back. But I did. The last thing I saw before the lights went out was the door handle turning, slow as breath, and a shape slipping through the fog like it had always been waiting for me.